just going to invite Tudor up. I can alternatively give you this if you prefer to. You're okay here? Great. Thank you, Tudor. So, implementing energy efficiency in social apartments.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much to the organizers for having me here today from the heart of Transylvania, where vampires live, of course, to talk about energy efficiency in social housing. My name is Tudor. I work for the municipality of Alba Iulia, which is situated in Romania, in Transylvania, and we are a small municipality, 70,000 inhabitants, with a good history of EU projects implementation, and energy efficiency is a major topic, especially after COVID, after all the geopolitical context in the last years, and it's affecting all of us. And thank you again for having me here. This is a really important topic. I will try to give you the story of our pilot project that we implemented through an INTERREG Europe project called Social Green. Social Green, funded by INTERREG and was led by an organization called Norigio from Sweden, and we were partners. The aim of this project was to improve policies and operational programs aimed at greening the social housing sector, focusing on the link between energy, social issues, and greening interventions. To give you in a nutshell the objective of the project. And through this project, we had the chance to implement a pilot that was in the social housing area. This pilot was very interesting because we knew there were many social poverty issues in Alba Iulia, especially related to energy. Basically what we did, we chose 8 apartments in a social housing building that you can see in the photo, and we tried to talk to the tenants to offer them the possibility to install smart appliances in their home, so smart home equipment for energy monitoring. The objective of this pilot was to improve, obviously, energy efficiency and consumer behavior. So this is also an important element. I will get back a bit later. How did we want to get this done? Was through the smart home equipments, through providing informative materials to the tenants regarding their energy consumption and guidelines and advices. Then after 12 months of implementation, comparing historical data with what happened before and what happened during the implementation of the pilot. And of course, as the objective of any INTERREG Europe project, to propose improvements for the operational programs at the regional level, to include such activities that we implemented in future calls for energy efficiency. Just a few basic information. We selected a simple building, nothing fancy, just pretty new from 2013, with own heating systems and some solar panels on the roof, which were working some of the summer period times. But nothing fancy, as I said. And the tenants were, of course, vulnerable people living there with various conditions, but of course of vulnerable condition. So that is why we had chosen such a building. Some of the obstacles, before I get there, you wouldn't imagine how complicated it is to go, especially before the pandemic time, because we're talking beginning of 2020 when COVID was everywhere. We were bombarded with information about this pandemic. So it wasn't quite easy to go to ring people and saying, hey, we're going to install smart home equipments. Are you happy about that? And they would just close the phone on us. So we had to go door to door and just invite people and explain that we are from the municipality, we're doing this pilot project, everything's for free, and it's supposed to help them reduce their energy bills at the end of the day. That's how we managed to convince 8 apartments out of the 30 in the building, but it wasn't easy. So the human factor was quite challenging from the start. Just to give you an example of one of the apartments, how it would look, just a simple 50 square meter apartment, and some of the appliances that we installed to monitor energy, to monitor electricity, heating consumption, CO2 emissions, temperature, carbon dioxide, and so on, for us to have such data to create an analysis, of course with the consent of the tenants. Again, once we installed, we had some reticence. People were saying we are like Big Brother trying to follow what they're doing, but we managed to overcome that fear. And very interestingly, we offered them a mobile app which was free to use, through which the tenants could see the level of their temperature. They could turn on or off their heating appliances while they were coming home from work. They could see their CO2 levels in their home, so to freshen up the air a little bit. But basically, it was also a tool for us to monitor the temperatures in the homes and to see that we had quite big differences from apartment to apartment. Some people were living on 20-degree average. Some people were living on 25-degree average. So, of course, then electricity bills differed quite consistently. Yes? And on the right side, you will see the panel that we had access to in order to monitor these parameters inside the apartments. To give you a rough idea, it was less than 1,000 euro, the investment per apartment. Now, some of the results after 1 year, maybe they don't look spectacular, but we have to take into consideration that this was 1 year in COVID time when most people were at home actually with their children, using a lot more energy than usual because they weren't going to work or school was closed, so people had to stay home with their kids, one parent living with the kids to do homeschool. So even though we had this COVID situation, difficult situation, we still had some reductions, some very good results. Secondly, we could explain to the people what improvements they could do in terms of behavior, in terms of renewing their home appliances to more energy efficient ones. Okay, we can see for electricity, for example, an average of minus 11% reduction compared to previous years when they were at work, most of them. Yes. Also, other parameters, as I said, we could monitor humidity, CO2 levels in an apartment, and we could provide this information to the apartment tenants to influence their behavior and to show them how they could improve their energy savings during a month, a cold month especially. For example, it was very interesting to see that a lot of problems were in terms of humidity, and a lot of people didn't know how they could deal with this. So we also offered guidance in this direction. Yes, and some informative materials that we sent out to all the tenants, and helping them to improve their energy consumption. We realized people are not very well informed on the energy issues. So an educational process is also important to be done, not only at local level, but also at regional and national level, so that people understand what are the benefits for reducing their temperature, not only in terms of energy consumption, but also in terms of health. It's not healthy to live in an apartment that is 25, 26 degrees temperature just because you have small kids. Some of the conclusions, we had a premiere in testing smart home equipments for social housing. The human factor for us, it was very important. So to discuss all the steps of the process with the tenants, I forgot to mention that we had more requests after this implementation from other people saying they wanted the installation as well. So we could go up to 10 apartments installing these equipments, and we were happy about that. It's important to install such equipments when it's a construction phase, if possible. And also, it's very relevant to include such smart equipments in future calls for energy efficiency. So not just having retrofitting money from ERDF funds, but also for smart home equipments, which are not so expensive. They're getting cheaper and cheaper. They're more accessible these years compared to 10 years ago. So we thought that this is a very important step forward as well. And We believe the results were quite good in spite of the pandemic, in spite of all the energy crisis that started in 2020. With this, I thank you for your attention and for any questions.